All right, what's up, guys? We are back with another podcast episode. This week, it is just Will and I, and it's kind of nice to be back on a regular pod schedule. We're keeping up with it as best we can. Today, we've got a bunch of just mishmash of things to talk about. There's been some smaller random news throughout pickleball. This weekend, Jack Sock played in his first pro PPA tournament, so we've got some stuff to talk about there. We've got some paddle updates and just a bunch of other small random things. But Will, you want to read our review first?
Oh, yeah. Let's see. All right. This is from Eddie Panic. Let's see. I have now become addicted to this podcast. When Chris and Will are just chatting about their own games, it's hilarious. I must see this Batman move. Must. I tried a modified version last week, but I didn't cross my arms. Still worked, though. And when I said, I'm Batman, no one understood. I'll work on it. Keep up the excellent work.
Will, you have to make a video about this because everyone who has heard it, I feel like we're describing it decent, but if you've never seen it, you're just not going to understand it. So you need to make an Instagram reel.
This upcoming weekend, we'll be together for undisclosed reasons, but you're going to help me film it. Okay? All
right, I will definitely help you film it because the people need to know what this is.
It's a
fun move.
It's a fun move, but it's not even that great. I'll talk about it in the video.
It's really not that great.
It's not that great.
When it works, you feel like a legend.
Yeah, but
it's
9 times out of 10 it doesn't.
Yeah, I was gonna say 9 times out of 10 it's probably not gonna work. But when you hit it, you're like, "Dang, I got you good."
Okay. What other comments you got?
We don't have another review per se, but Tim Parks, the owner of the Hard Eights, was on the Dink Pickleball podcast a while ago, and I meant to mention this forever ago, but he had ranked all of the pickleball podcasts, and he gave us third. And now, while third is acceptable, Will, I strive for perfection, and we should be number one. So just so you know, Tim, we're coming for that number one slot. I don't know if we'll make it. Also, I can't remember if I want to say he put the Dink as number one, I believe. I know he had to do that as a formality because he was on their show. I'm sure if he was on ours, he'd put us at least number 2, maybe 3-5 at best. Actually, that's what he should have done. Instead of ranking us 3, that's how I would have known he was a real fan. Now I kind of feel like he's a fake fan. But anyways, we know you had to give Zane and Thomas some credit there or whatever. But yeah, I did hear his podcast ranking list and I was like, okay. Third, acceptable. We got some work to do, but we can work with that. Any lower than third, and I would have been like, dang, come on, man. We're a decent podcast. Let's go.
Unacceptable.
Unacceptable, exactly. Well, all right. We've got just some news we want to talk about first before we dive into other stuff. First, if you guys haven't already seen the documentary that Will and I made about Zane and the journey to Major League Pickleball, the Columbus, Ohio tournament, it's finally released. It should have been done so much faster, but I vastly underestimated how long it was going to take and also trying to get that project done while maintaining everything I'm doing at this point, which is way harder than I thought it was, but it's finally done.
To be fair, you did a good job. I thought you did a good job with editing it while also keeping, in line with everything else that you're doing, including editing the pod, keeping up with your own channel. I wouldn't have been able to do it. I honestly asked to help you. I was like, hey, how can I help you? But the project file was so massive. I was like, okay, I don't even know how I would even help you with this because it was huge. How many gigabytes was that project file?
6 terabytes.
Ridiculous. 6 terabytes.
There's a lot of footage. To be honest, there's probably a bunch of stuff in there that would be at least I'd say probably pretty interesting to people, but you just kind of had to cut out fluff and whatnot. So there's a bunch that didn't make it in. But I'm not gonna lie, I debated flying to Oklahoma just to force myself to sit down with you for a few days and work on it and kind of brainstorm some stuff. And the only reason I didn't end up doing it is because I told myself, I was like, okay, if you truly sit down and try and powwow through this, I could probably do it myself, which is kind of how that last push kind of went or whatever. But I did seriously debate it because if you've never worked on a project of this size, you get in your head very easily, and it just, I don't know. It's hard to work on it, period, but then you balance that with trying to run a channel and everything else, and it just becomes a lot.
Wait, before we move on, what about, did you have a blooper reel for it? Where's all that extra? Oh, that's what the fans need to see.
We've got bloopers. I still have to show it to Zane, but I'm going to tell Zane, don't ever mess with me, because I got a lot of stuff that you don't want other people to see. I would never actually do that to Zane, but there's some good bloopers. Yeah, so if you haven't watched it, check it out.
Yeah, it was real good. I mean, I think I almost shed a tear. Almost.
You shed a tear knowing that you would have me back finally. You're like, oh my gosh, Chris can finally resume a normal life.
That's right.
But anyways, moving on, just some other news. There is a 24/7 facility opening in Arizona. I don't know if this is the first
another one
ever, but it's the first that I'm aware of. And I think it's pretty cool to have a 24/7 pickleball facility. What do you think about it?
Okay, if it's 24/7, would you go? Would you, like, what hours of the night would you actually go? How late would you actually go play pickleball? Or how early would you go?
I could totally see myself using it. Not a lot, but I've played pickleball as late as midnight at Lifetime.
Okay.
And after it closed or whatever, because we know some people. But early, I don't know. I could see myself going with someone as early as 4 a.m. I've done that in the past with another guy. We'd go to a facility here. He had some keys, and he could get us in, and that was the only time he could drill with me. So we did do that for a little bit. Probably not something I'd use all the time, but just the concept of it is cool for the people who have maybe some really bizarre hours.
Okay, no, that makes a lot of sense. It reminds me of, there's a facility like that for table tennis, I think, up in New York. I think Adam Brobow uses it sometimes for
that's sick.
His videos and his channel. Yeah, I think it's it's unmanned. It's an unmanned facility, I think, and you kind of just pay or something, and then you get access, and you get to go play for a lot of time. So yeah, I think it's a cool concept. Whether it will be sustainable, I don't know. I guess we'll have to wait and see.
I mean,
but
at a bare minimum, cool. I think the facility will do fine during normal business hours, but maybe people just aren't using it much after midnight. Maybe the 24-hour part is kind of like, it doesn't really matter.
Yeah.
But hey, could be nice for the few people who might use it. Probably less than 5% of the user base, if I had to guess.
True. How many courts is it again?
6.
Oh, 6? Okay. So it's not huge.
I think 2 of them are championship-sized courts, I believe.
Oh, championship size? I mean, that'd be kind of cool just to go after hours. No one's there just to hit on a championship-style court. Like, that actually be pretty cool.
If you or I were there, it'd be kind of nice. I mean, not that I want to work that late, but a worst-case scenario is if we had to film some content and we needed nobody to be there, a facility like that could be pretty cool. Thankfully, for both of us, I think we have connections to courts where, we don't really have to worry about that. But I could see that being beneficial in the scenario that we didn't have that type of connection.
All right. Well, that's cool. Shoot. I mean, I feel like Arizona has all the spots opening up, and I don't know, like maybe they have the player base to support that many courts and that many facilities out there.
Yeah. Dude, I'm not going to lie. If I wasn't so attached to Minnesota, Arizona would probably be a place I'd highly consider moving to, just because I think in terms of the job, it would make certain things easier. You have connections to, more people who are very relevant in the sport, whether it's for the podcast or just other things. Mm-hmm. Obviously, pickleball is huge over there. The weather's nice
good, yeah.
Year round. You could have a backyard court, and it's always good to be used. Lots of different things. I can't see myself leaving Minnesota, but it's always in the back of my head where I'm like, well, dang, if I wasn't so attached to this, Arizona would probably be pretty cool.
Move on to the next one. Legacy Park files for bankruptcy. It's funny because I just said Arizona has the player base to support all the pickleball facilities there, but now in these notes, it says Legacy Park files for bankruptcy. What's going on with that, Chris?
Yes. I mean, the article honestly didn't say too much, but if you guys are familiar with it, Bell Bank Park, the PPA and APP have both held tournaments there. One of the MLPs this year was there. I think they have 40 or 50 something courts. It's just 40, a huge sports complex. They have everything. It's not just pickleball, but they did just file for bankruptcy because I guess they have not been able to make any money. It doesn't sound like the facility is going anywhere. The owners are hoping to sell it by August is what the article said, and they were saying things should resume as normal through 2030.
Yeah.
But we'll see. I mean, 2030 is a long time from now. I feel like, maybe the new owners will have different thoughts in mind to make it profitable, but hopefully the pickleball courts are still usable. I know people have mixed thoughts about the venue for pickleball, but I don't know, for MLP, I thought it was pretty nice.
No, yeah, it was pretty nice, but also it just makes me think, well, Legacy Park is also a multi-sport facility, so it makes me wonder because of the sustainability of larger facilities, because was it in the news not too long ago that there was another like 120, 130 court facility opening up in, was it Las Vegas?
Yeah, Reno.
Okay.
Actually, I don't know, but yes, a 120 court facility.
That's crazy. Like how, I don't know. It just makes me wonder. Are there that many people playing pickleball on the daily to sustain a facility like that? I guess it also depends on just the player base and the business model, but it makes you wonder.
Yeah, for sure. I do think, as you and I have both dove into the business side of pickleball more, I'd say I'm generally an optimistic person, or at the very least, I just understand what the reality is. Well, I'm a very optimistic person, but I do think in certain business things, I'm a little more on the cautious side, or I'd like to at least be aware of what could be issues. And I think, everyone's rushing into this gold mine. It's like, oh my gosh, we need to have the highest quality facility, the most amount of courts. Like 120 is an insane amount of courts, probably going to cost a ton of money to do it well. And then, like you said, is it going to be sustainable? Yet maybe now there is demand for that many courts, but 5 years, will there be? Will pickleball? Personally, I have this view that pickleball is a little bit in a bubble right now where things are probably overinflated or worth more than they should be. Yeah. And I think at some point that's going to pop and it'll level out. And not to say that pickleball is going to have a downtrend after that, but I don't think we can keep up this. It'll plateau. We can't keep having a meteoric rise for the next 10 years. I don't know. Maybe we can, but at some point I think that bubble has to pop.
Right. Totally agree. Okay.
Yeah. So I don't know. I'll be curious to see how that facility does, or any large facility that opens. But moving on, we have a couple other updates, but one for me is things are kind of advancing a bit more. So I have massively outgrown my apartment. If you guys see my office, I guess I don't really ever show it. I've teased it on Instagram.
You bought a mansion with 3 pickleball courts indoors, and you left a wing with a master bedroom and suite for me, right?
Well, I mean, you're close. Well, you're really, really close.
Okay.
What I did is I took my brother, who lives less than a block from me, and turned his basement into a studio. Oh, okay. It's really close to a mansion, and 3 pickleball courts is really close. Only a small difference.
Oh, really? So you just left out the space for me to stay. That's what it is. Okay, I see. I see how it is.
They do have an extra bedroom. I mean, if you want to get on their lease, maybe.
Okay.
So no, but seriously, I've massively outgrown my living space. We actually contemplated moving this year to have a much bigger basement for me to work out of. And then just as I started thinking about it more, the rent increase was going to be very noticeable, and I wanted to make sure we could sustain the income. And I'm pretty confident at this point we could, or I'd say I know we could, but as our lease was coming to an end, a lot of the good places we were looking at are taken up. Houses are still really expensive right now. And so really what it made more sense to do is my brother lives very close. He has 2 floors to this apartment. The basement has a ton of space. We're building out more of a studio space down there to be able to shoot things in higher quality. And also, I'm bringing him on for some amount of part-time work so he can just shoot stuff for me, because I'm just at the point now where there's so many things to juggle that it does not make sense for me to do everything. Like shooting footage of the paddles really isn't a good use of time anymore. I should be writing the content, playtesting paddles. So it's very exciting to have a studio space, and it's exciting to see how things are growing. Like, it's very cool.
finally you faked it till you made it, and now you've finally grown into your namesake, the Pickleball Studio. Because I always wonder, I was like, yo, how did I get a studio space before you?
All right, yes, I finally do have the studio part of my name. It's finally official. I even made that joke on Instagram that I was like, okay, it's legit now. We have a studio. But I think I'll actually believe that part of my name when I have an office building with a court in it. And an actual office, yes.
No, that'll be
That
sick.
is the goal. I think is very feasible in the next 2 years. I think it's very
for
feasible.
sure. I think with our powers combined, it's totally going to be feasible. Shoot, it might be even sooner than that.
It could be. To be honest, I could see a year from now, but again, the part of my brain is like, okay, you need a little more time. But everything so far, my involvement in pickleball, and I think yours, just from the conversations we have, everything has grown way quicker than either of us would have estimated.
No, for sure. So excited for that. Excited for the studio. I mean, I saw some behind the scenes and some clips that you made with you and your brother. I was pretty jealous of some of the content that you made. I'm not going to lie. I was like, ooh, I should be there. I should be filming this.
I was just getting you back for when you redid your office and made it look way cooler than mine.
Well, right now I was too lazy to turn my camera on, so you have the good old, regular back wall that you normally see right now. And honestly, I still haven't done like a real studio tour of my space yet for anybody to see either. So maybe I'll work on that too. But that's pretty low priority for me at the moment.
Your studio, I will say, definitely looks cooler than my brother's basement right now, because really, there's just a bunch of lights and a nice backdrop. And we are going to build out some other stuff. But at the current moment, if someone walked into either of them, yours would look cooler. Mine is maybe more functional, but even then, I don't know if that's true.
Functional. I would say it's probably more functional. I would say just a little bit more.
Yeah,
right.
Yeah. So that's an exciting update for me. Anything new with you?
There are some happenings in my world as well that I cannot yet divulge into. But in due time, like I will tell you, I was pretty consistent with the content coming out of my channel, and I wouldn't say I took a break, but the frequency has been toned down just a tad because I'm working on some other things right now that, like I said, I can't talk about yet. But in due time, I will tell in due time. So
guys, he's quitting. He's going back to play tennis. I'll just dump the news for everyone. I'm just kidding, guys. Will's not going anywhere. I wouldn't let him do that.
Drag me out.
Pickleball would be a whole lot less fun without Will in it. So that's not happening anytime soon. I appreciate
you. Warms my heart hearing that come from Chris.
That's right. Okay. Well, before we get into the Jack Sock stuff, we've been talking about paddles for a long time, but all we've been talking about is paddles breaking.
Yes,
and unfortunately, I have a little bit more of that to talk about today.
Oh gosh. It's only right that it happened right after our podcast with Carl from USAPA.
Yes. Okay, guys. So if you're on my newsletter, which if you aren't, you should go sign up for that. There will be a link down in the newsletter. You can get a free lead tape cheat sheet guide, and then I post some weekly content there. You get just some early sneak peeks on paddles before they come out and whatnot. And one of the ones I had written about previously was the Hudef Viva Pro. It's an $85 thermoformed paddle, basically the same specs as a Carbon 1X, but obviously significantly cheaper. Has a lifetime warranty.
It's 85?
What? Well, okay, it's technically 99. It's 85 with discount code BB Studio. Actually, Thank you for correcting me, because I always think of prices of paddles as the discount code and not the MSRP. So thank you for correcting that. But so I play tested it and I used them, and then I filmed my video. I actually got my first round of edit back from my editor today. And then yesterday, my brother destroyed that paddle. He was playing with the 14 millimeter, and in 3 play sessions, it is by far the worst delaminated, crushed core paddle I've seen to date.
Oh, it's corrupted.
Corrupted. Yeah, that is the phrase that Will is trying to coin for.
Come on, guys, help me out here.
Let us know in the comments if you like it. Let us know.
All right, well, what would you call it? Crushed core?
Core gate, crushed core gate. I mean, just core gate, it kind of rolls off the tongue nicely. I don't know. You guys let us know down below what you think would be better. We're trying to coin a term for it.
Yes.
But so he played with it. I played with him every session that he has had that paddle. First session, fine. Second session, it was fine. Then at this local tournament we went to, very small tournament, not a big one or anything. He was warming up. I was kicking him off the court so I could warm up. And I was like, dude, that paddle sounded weird. I was like, what's wrong with it? It's like, no way it's broke already. And I grab it, crunch, and I was like, okay, well, that's nice, whatever. So then he plays with it the rest of the day, and every single match, which he played maybe 4 or 5 matches, it got like exponentially worse every match. So it went from crushing to almost the whole frame flexing to you could actually feel the face separated from the core.
Oh, it was disbonded?
It's disbonded and the core is crushed, and it just, dude, it wiggles and makes so much noise. That paddle is nuked. I have not seen one this bad yet.
Dang. For all you guys out there that don't know, or maybe you didn't, you skipped last week's episode. I think Carl, he made a really good analogy with his fingers about, I guess, delamination and like corruption and disbonding. But basically he said, like, if this is your core, right, and then this is the layers of the carbon fiber on top, this is delamination, this is disbonding, and then if the core is messed up down here, it's like corruption, guys. That's what it is.
Well, okay, and for the rest of you who don't have the video up, basically Carl was saying that delamination is the separation of the face layers. So usually a carbon fiber paddle has 2, 3, maybe 4 layers of carbon fiber. So delamination would be those layers separating. Disbonding would be all of the layers separating from the core of the paddle, and then core crush, corruption, whatever you want to call it, is, when the crunching sound is happening now. So it seems like the Hudef had the delamination and corruption. So
yeah,
not great. But I guess you have the lifetime warranty. But I was shocked to see this because my review was actually quite favorable for the paddle, and I had to go shoot an updated clip today just to kind of let people know, well, hey guys, here's what we found out after I filmed this video.
Wait, it also has a lifetime warranty?
Yeah, it's lifetime warranty.
Wow.
I mean,
yeah, it's
you could just go get it fixed, or get it replaced. But the problem is, do you want to go do that over and over? And, maybe this is an isolated case. I'm not saying that every Hudef is going to do this. I'm just reporting a data point for you guys. If it concerns you, do with it what you will. But I'm sure there's a bunch of other people using the Hudef that don't have this issue. So
yeah,
take it for whatever you want.
Yeah. So, okay. Well, I also played with the paddle because I got them too, and I liked them quite a bit and thought of them quite favorably. I haven't, I guess, I was planning on doing a video on it, but it's still in the works right now. But I haven't had any issues with it, but also at the same time, I haven't put that many hours into the paddle as well. And I don't know if I hit as hard as your brother Isaac does. Maybe I do, maybe I don't. I'm not sure, but be interesting to
Isaac
see.
hits harder.
Isaac hits harder?
I'll just tell you that now.
Okay.
I can confidently say that.
Okay. Well, that's it for, I guess, the Hudef. You got some other paddles in the works that you want to talk about?
Yeah, I mean, I figure we just kind of update people. Now that the doc is done, I kind of have a full content calendar that I'm going to try and keep up with. I mapped out all of my May content, which is a lot. And we'll see if I can actually stick to it. But there's just some paddles that have been out that I thought people might want to know about.
Yeah.
First of all, the Engage Ultra. I'll go first, then you can talk about it, Will. The most underwhelming release of the year so far by a long shot. $260. All that changed was the paddle got less poppy. It was supposed to have more spin. It's definitely grittier, but the spin is not better. Or if it is, it's very marginally. Like, it still doesn't compete with a regular raw carbon fiber paddle. Definitely doesn't compete with some of the latest gen stuff. It's not a spinny paddle. And that's basically it. Well, that's all that changed.
You make it sound like it doesn't spin at all.
No. I mean, it spins. But if you compare it to any of the thermoformed paddles, even if you compare it to a raw carbon fiber paddle,
yeah,
it's for like sure in a low tier versus high tier. It doesn't even compete with just a basic raw carbon fiber paddle. I don't know.
What's your RPM you got on it?
1,300.
What? 13?
Yeah. Pickleball Journey got 1,000.
Ew. It's trash.
Bad. I mean, I've hit both the regular Pursuit side by side with the Ultra. Highly, highly underwhelming. Now, here's the thing. And I'll talk about this more when my review of it goes up. I love how the Engage feels. I think it's one of the most satisfying pop feels off of a face in pickleball. So I don't think it's a bad paddle.
No.
My mixed partner has a regular Pursuit, and she loves it. She plays great with it. It's awesome for her. But I just think when you compare it to a lot of other paddles on the market, fairly low value. People like to talk about the lifetime warranty, which I do think is a big bonus, but Engage also has bad durability. My mixed partner, she had an Engage loose edge guard, shipped it back in, got the new one. Literally 2 play sessions, it was loose again. And she does not hit hard. Like, she's just a blocking machine. And she doesn't abuse her paddles. Like, I play with her all the time. So to me, I'm like, yeah, okay, it's a lifetime warranty, but do you just want to send in paddles all the time? Maybe not all the time, but it's not the most durable paddle on the market.
Right. It can be inconvenient because I still really liked, I did have some Pursuits, but I don't play with them. But I used to play with the Encore. Still love that. I still have my Encore, and I love that thing. But it did have some issues. But I always sent it in. They got a new one or whatever. But eventually, they kind of break down a bit. So that is a little bit annoying. But when I played with it as well, kind of felt the same way. A little bit underwhelmed, although I felt that it was a really good dinking, and reset paddle. It did feel softer than the regular Pursuits, but out of all the Engage paddles, I would still choose the Encore over the Pursuit and the Pursuit Ultra.
Would you really? Yeah, I don't know if I would, but
didn't your Encore? Wait, didn't when you tested the Encore? Didn't you have some crazy RPM numbers for it? When you first tested it?
That's one of the only paddles that I've had a big discrepancy between like 2 people. Usually the result is relatively close. For me, it was a low result. It's been so long, I don't remember what it was, like 1,100 or 1,200. And then Patrick, it was 1,700. And since it was a used paddle, I have not been able to go check it again. And now I would do it with a brand new paddle. Like, now every result in the spreadsheet is a new paddle or whatever. So I'd like to get my hands on a brand new one again and check it. But for sure, it's not going to compete with the newer paddles today. I can pretty much guarantee it.
Got it. Okay. Well, cool.
But so the Ultra for me was, I mean, if you love Engage, go for it. I'm not going to say it's a bad paddle, but don't get it if you think it's going to be a lot spinnier. And if you were thinking about upgrading, personally, I wouldn't upgrade unless you just really wanted a softer feeling paddle, but it's not drastically softer. It's just a little bit.
Not worth it for the money.
Definitely not. The Pursuit was already pushing it in terms of value. For $260, they should have done way, 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 way more. Oh, they talked about a counterbalance technology, which, whatever that means in their marketing. And me and Pickleball Effect checked the swing weights on the paddle. And they're essentially identical to the original ones. So that also did not work.
Does it? Well, you also... Okay. I was wondering if it... No, there wouldn't be any way for it to change. I guess while you're swinging it, if you swung it, like if the swing weight, you measured it, because you do that when it's static, right? It doesn't move. Yeah. I was wondering if there's a way...
No. Well, the swing weight machine does wiggle the paddle back and forth.
Oh, okay.
Like that's how it's getting the measurement.
I see. And it was the same? Okay.
Yep. Same. So,
all right. Moving on.
Moving on. Ronbus. They've got the R3. R1 is coming soon. You are best equipped to talk about this one, but
yes,
I should be hitting them soon. I just have one main thing I want to talk about it, but you go ahead and give your thoughts on it because you've played with it.
Yes, the R1 and R3 Pulsar. I don't know if Ronbus has come out with the R2 version for the Pulsar series.
No, R2's up in the air.
Gotcha. Well, the R3 Pulsar is my current paddle of choice, and in my opinion, is the best paddle on the market. Like, just in terms of performance, like value, like everything. And I plan on doing a review on that quite soon. I almost have a script ready and done with it because it is my favorite paddle, but I played with it at the US Open, and I think at the U.S. Open, at least in my second match, like I think it was some of the best pickleball I've ever played. It just has like the right specs for me. Elongated, the swing weight is right around where I like it, 123, I think 124, according to your swing weight measurements, and it's like just so good stock. I don't have to adjust it whatsoever, and it is a little bit softer than other thermoform paddles out there, which I think is nice, which I think is what I needed, because that's my next video that's coming out, is my paddle journey. I went from like the Diadem Warrior Edge, right, super soft paddle, to a Power Air, which is like one of the like most powerful paddles, and then from that went to like Carbon 1X14, and the Legacy, and it just like shot up, and I think my game suffered, and then finally I had to dial it back down. I think the R3 Pulsar has been that right even kind of like spot for me right now.
Yeah. No, it seems like a good paddle. I haven't hit mine yet because now with the studio we're trying to film the paddles right as they come in, so we get clean looking shots, and then just some other things that we may want to use clean footage for in the future. So I'm waiting to hit mine. I hit it once really briefly before I gave one to one of my testers, which we'll talk about in just a second. So I liked it when I hit it, but I don't have extensive background. We're talking 10 minutes of drilling with it, maybe. But the main reason I wanted to mention it is because I gave it to my friend. We call him the Delaminator in Minnesota. Maybe the more correct term would be the Corruptor. You like that? I just came up with that. Came up with that.
I'm a fan. That even sounds cooler. Actually, I don't know. Both of them sound pretty cool, but all right.
They both sound pretty good. But whatever you want to call him, the reason I started recruiting him is because he's a 5-0 player. He hits extremely hard. He plays a crap ton of pickleball, and he broke his original Legacy in like a week or 2 weeks. He broke a Vatic V7 or a Vatic Flash, and then I think there's one other paddle he broke, and then I gave him another Vatic that he broke, and then after that I gave he got 2 Vatics from me. One that he broke in 7 days, and then the other one was 4 days, I believe. So then after that, those were all old glue, old fix, whatever. Then I gave him new ones. I gave him a new Flash 16 millimeter and the R3 Pulsar. And I said, have at it. Play with it, see if they break. It is now well over a month. He has not broke the R3, and he's also not broke the Flash. So good signs there, because with how fast and how many he previously broke, it makes me optimistic. And Dong from Ronbus has been very vocal about saying he has a good fix for it. He hasn't shared exactly what, but ever since the conversations have come out, he's been pretty vocal on the topic. And so far, the results are speaking for themselves. He's had people testing the paddle. He's had you testing it. He has other people testing it. He gave me one to give to my Corruptor. And a month or however long, and it's not broken. So I'm not going to say that these paddles cannot delaminate or that the core can't get crushed, but that's a very good sign. Once we start hitting these other ones, I'm going to hit it. Then I'm going to give one to my brother, who might as well also be a delaminator, since he broke the Hudef and whatever else. And yeah, he's broken quite a few paddles too. So going to give him one, see if it breaks, and then we'll just have more data. All right, but the reason I bring it up is because if it continues to be the case that it's not breaking, the R3 Pulsar is going to become probably one of the most recommended paddles by me, and you already like it. You're already recommending it.
I'm already recommending it, yes.
Yeah, because it's like maybe it's 150 after a discount code.
Yeah.
It might be 170 stock, and then a discount code brings it to 150.
Right.
So at 150, you're
160. Yep.
You're getting a Carbon 1X style replacement. Maybe it doesn't hit quite as hard, but it seems that the trade-off is the paddle doesn't break. And in a world where every paddle's breaking, that seems to be pretty valuable.
I personally think it gets, I think it gets more spin than the Carbon X Series. I think it's more spin than all the other raw carbon fiber paddles that I've play tested. I don't know if it's true or not, but just to me, that's what it feels like.
Yeah, it was in the 2000s for me when I did a
2000
spin test.
Yes.
Yeah. So
Pickleball Will at checkout.
Hashtag code PB Studio. You know, support who you want to support, but I mean, I'm just
okay.
Just playing. But yes, it's a good paddle. I will remain skeptical until the paddle has seen many more hands, but early signs are looking good. But I feel like I've become a jaded old man, Will, with all these promised fixes and then paddles not. They continue. Mm-hmm. I mean, paddles are just continuing to break. So, yeah, I don't know. Hopefully it stays fixed. But anyways.
All right.
The only other one that I really want to talk about is the Electrum Elite. If you haven't seen my video, go check it out. Paddle honestly surprised me a bunch. I really, really liked it a lot. It feels really good. Only problem for me was the high swing weight. Kind of hurt my wrist. Made me a little more tired. You like it? Well, you do like that. You like high swing weights.
I might like it. I haven't hit with it yet. They did come in the mail, and I will say they looks really good, really clean. I really like the blue and the yellow of the logo. So it's clean. I really like it.
Yeah.
I really like the way it looks.
Looks good. Feels good. The only thing I will say for those of you who might be curious, if you love your original Model E, you may want to consider not buying it. My brother, which he is a weird exception, he just does not like the Elite, and he has been a diehard fan of his original Model E. He played with it while that thing was so busted. I've given him a brand new one. So just be aware that if you really love that soft feel, but you want more power, maybe the Elite's not for you. Maybe it is. Mm-hmm. I liked it. My brother didn't. Take it for what you will. But gotcha. I just thought I'd bring it up. It's a very solid paddle. I liked it a lot. I think if you are looking for that shape or you liked the original Model E, might be worth scoping out.
Well, I just want to talk about two other paddles that I've been messing around with really quickly before we move on to Jack Sock, because this kind of running long. But I've also played with the bread and butter Filth, which is right now a very close second. It's like one of my favorite paddles. It's second in my lineups, always in my bag. And I think the only thing that's keeping me from like truly switching to it is probably just the overall weight, you know? So if, you like a lighter paddle and you want like a thermoform paddle, like the bread and butter Filth, I think is a really good option. To me, it's like a Carbon 1X16 clone that's a little bit lighter, and I think it looks way better. Like, that's pretty much it with the Filth. So
really, it definitely is lighter because my brother added quite a bit of lead tape.
Oh yeah, your brother liked it.
He was like, it's way too light. Yeah, he likes it a lot.
Yeah, I like that one. And then the other one is I got to try out the Kiwi Labs Kiwi Slice, which is another thermoform paddle. It's in kind of like a more standard shape with the long handle, kind of like similar to the Solaire. And that one is actually also very good. I haven't had extensive play with it, but it feels like a little bit softer, than a lot of the other thermoform paddles out there. I would say probably the softest, in my opinion, from my short play test with it. But I mean, on first impressions, very solid. I do enjoy it. I think the handle feels a little bit too square for my liking, but really solid. I think it looks good too.
Nice. Very nice. Yeah, I'll have to mess around with that at some point. I've heard about it, but I saw the specs and it didn't really wow me off the bat. But maybe if you have more interesting thoughts, maybe I'll have to scope it out.
Okay, sounds good. All right, you want to move on to Mr. Sockatuum, the PPA?
Yes, let's talk about Jack Sock. I will warn you guys now, there are about to be hecka spoilers. So if you don't want spoilers, I recommend you stop listening now, or you look in the description to see timestamps where we skip to a point where there are no spoilers. Okay. So that is your warning now, and we are about to dive into it. All right. Going into this tournament, what were your expectations for Jack before we get to results?
Let's see. I was expecting him to probably make it to quarter. I was expecting him to medal in singles, right? Just because, his tennis prowess. And I honestly expected him to do really good in doubles, which he did, and also not do, which we'll get more into later. But I knew he was going to do well. I mean, he's been training for a while, and honestly, before there was talks of Jack Sock playing, before the Bubbly Exhibition Championship event that was held, I knew he played because Jay DeVilliers and my buddy Alvaro at the time has played pickleball with him in Kansas City or whatnot at Chicken and Pickle, and I was like, oh, what, you get to play against Jack Sock? He's like, yeah, he's pretty good. And I was like, okay, so he's been playing. That was over a year ago, when I heard about that, so I was like, okay, he's gonna be good. So those are kind of my expectations. What about you?
Yeah, I don't really know what I thought going in. I don't know that I ever gave it too much thought. I think my immediate thought was that mixed was probably I think my order of what he had the best chance in was probably mixed, singles, and then men's. Singles was second just because I think there are a lot of really good singles players, and mixed, obviously with Anna Lee, you've just got a really good partner to help you out with some stuff.
Arguably the number one player in the world.
That's not even arguably. If you try and argue that anyone is better, you're just I don't know what to tell you, but you're wrong. That's the only way to put that. That's the nice way of putting it.
True that.
So, yeah, I mean, that was kind of the order. I probably did think at the very least he was going to make a final. Medal up in the air, but final I could have seen for at least one event. Mm-hmm. So let's just kind of go over some of those results. Yeah. We'll kind of go over some of the singles real quick. Did you get to watch any of the singles? I think you didn't see much, right?
I saw Jake Kusmiter, which was
the important one.
Yeah, the third round. So let's see. Moving first on, he played against Anton Goods. He got 11-8, 11-4. Second round. You want to tell?
He beat a guy that I forgot to write down the name, but it was a guy I'd never heard of, and it was also a guy that smoked our friend James Ignatowicz.
Yes. Well, you didn't write his name down? No, wait. I have it. It's Naveen Beasley. Give a shout out to Naveen Beasley.
All right, thank you for coming prepared. Unlike myself, I'm like the Thomas of this podcast today. Jeez, what's wrong with me?
Yeah, he dunked on James. What was it? 11-0, 11-2.
It was something really bad. It was bad. And then James tweeted something like, yeah, you should always warm up for your matches and always respect your opponents. And I was like, yeah, in this day and age, that's probably a wise idea, James.
Yes, sir. Well, shoot. What? I mean, I don't know. What happened, James? Aside from that,
I would have liked to see that match. I would have liked to see how it looked.
Was it recorded?
I don't think it was. I mean, I was watching the stream that whole morning, and I don't think it was, unless it was on Grandstand Court. But I feel like people would have posted the link to watch that.
True that. True, yeah. You're right. Especially if he got murked, if James got murked like the way that he did everybody.
Yes. So, all right, the next one, the big one, Jake Kusmiter. Haven't seen him around in a minute, to be honest.
The Lion.
Yeah, the Lion himself. He played Jack Sock, and it was really entertaining pickleball. Both of these guys are so flippin' fast on the court. It's amazing how much court they cover. Did you see the one where Jake headbutt the screen?
Yeah, I did. He dove for it, and I think he could have gotten that ball if there was more real estate.
I think if there was more space, I think he could have got it.
He would have got it, but I think if he got it, he still would have, because then it would have definitely been over. If Jack Sock got a paddle on it, it would have.
Yeah, if you just touched it, you just put it on the court.
Yeah, exactly. But still, that was a crazy, crazy point. I mean, I'm probably going to go back and rewatch that because it was fairly entertaining. But also, it is what I think. I don't know if it is. Do you think it was optimal pickleball, like for singles?
Optimal in what sense?
I mean, just like how the game, like what the meta is or what it should be for pickleball.
Probably not. They were probably running way more than what was necessary.
Right. That's how I was seeing it as well, because they were essentially playing tennis, like, on a pickleball court, which is like perfectly fine. Like, you know what I'm saying? But not a lot of cat and mouse. It was a lot of passing shots and a lot of good gets and a lot of retrieving. It honestly was tiresome.
It did seem watching Jack that most of his play from memory, I don't know that this is actual fact because it's been a couple days, that he definitely played much more tennis style. He would come to the net, but it felt much more common for him to wait at the baseline and just hope he hit a passing shot.
Yeah. A lot of
is what it looked like to me. And I think if he got to some of the really good players, not that Jake isn't a good player, but I think if he got into a Federico or a Tyson
or a Frazier,
or a Frazier, I just think some of that stuff would have been harder for him to get away with. And I also think if you were going to play tournament after tournament, that much movement or just that hard of movement would really drain you. I don't know how sustainable that would be throughout a tournament day.
Yeah, I agree. So, I mean, I think that match was the core example of, I don't know, people saying like, oh, you don't move that much in pickleball. It's less court to cover or whatever. I was like, go watch this match. And like, yeah, the court is smaller, but because the ball doesn't bounce nearly as fast or as high, like you have more opportunities to retrieve the ball. And I want to say you're probably moving more in that match. You're probably covering more ground, I would say. Like that's just the way I see it, or the way that I feel. I would love to see, I guess Pickle Mart Analytics to do like an analyzation of how much they ran. So Spancake, if you're listening to this, please do the stats for the Jake Kuzma or Jack Sock match. I would love to see it. I'll hit you up or hit me up. Maybe we'll collab on some sort of video. I don't know, but yeah.
Yeah, it had to be a lot. It was amazing to watch. Both of them freak athletes. Just watching them move around, it's just like, how on earth are you still going for this? I don't know. It was amazing to watch. The athleticism was definitely on display. The games ended up being 11-9, 5-11, 7-11. Jake Kussmeiter won that. I was not expecting Jack to go out to Jake, and it makes me think that if he did lose to Jake, it was pretty unlikely that he was going to beat Federico or Tyson or a really top guy in singles. Again, not that Jake isn't good, but I think we know that the other guys are just a step above that, so it would have been even harder.
Yeah, this is true. I will say, I think what Jack's like biggest weakness was his backhand. It was like he did not have a backhand. I think he's still trying to figure it out because he usually has a double-handed backhand, two-handed backhand in tennis.
Oh no, he's not trying to figure anything out. Did you not hear the post-match interview?
No, I missed it. What did he say?
He said, "I've never had a backhand in tennis, and I'm not planning to start now."
Good old Jack.
He ran around everything, forehand dinks. I mean, what I said was that he is a Tyson McGuffin that moves even faster.
This is true. I could see that.
No backhand, but has a monster forehand.
But Tyson has a better backhand than Jack in pickleball.
Yes.
Would you say? Okay.
I probably would say that because Jack just wouldn't hit one. Or it was just a slice drop every time. Well, to be fair, that's also basically what Tyson does. He doesn't really have offense with his backhand.
That's true. Well, Tyson does like, he does like the push slap sometimes, one-hander. Or anyways, whatever. Anyways, it was a good match. It was a good match. Moving on to men's doubles. All right, what did you think about men's doubles? Like what did you expect from Mr. Sock?
I don't know that I had any specific expectations. I probably would have thought quarterfinals at least, based on the Bubbly event and watching him play there. Yeah. I think I would have thought he could do quarterfinals without too much problem. So I wake up and I immediately turn on the stream and I'm watching it and I'm like, dude, he's playing two guys I've never heard of. I'm like, this is going to be just like singles. Him and Tyson are going to absolutely mop these people.
Yeah.
No, dude. Tyson and Jack got slaughtered. It was horrible.
Oh, gosh.
Did you watch that match?
I know. I missed that. So I don't know exactly. I just know that they lost. So I had no idea. I thought they were going to do so much better because, Jack is a very solid tennis doubles player, right? I think he's won 4 Grand Slams in doubles, right? And he's always chosen to be on the world team for the Davis Cup and whatnot. So I was like, okay. And he's with Tyson. I was like, oh, this is this is going to be good for him. Like, he's going to wreck, he's going to crush. But I guess that wasn't the case.
I could not believe it. I mean, and no disrespect to the other guys. I've personally never heard of them, but they also seemed like they were playing fantastic. But I don't think I've ever seen Tyson play worse, to be honest. I was shocked some of the shots he was missing. It felt like the put away opportunities he had, he was hitting them really wide. Any backhand roll that he had that he would try and kind of attack or speed up, they were just going out, not by a large margin, but they were out. I don't know. Basically, every time he wound up for one, I was like, oh, man, this ball's probably going out. And I'd love to see if someone counted the stat of how many that were flicked out, because to me, it just felt like more than 50% were not going in. And then, Jack was obviously getting picked on too. I think in men's, it's easier to exploit the fact that he doesn't have a backhand. The guys are hitting a lot harder. Like, there's just more things.
Eric Rohde and Jim Dobrin. So shout outs to Dobrin and Rohde. Got to give them a shout out. We're the People's Pod. We got to give shout outs to the Peoples.
That's right. Shout out to them. But yeah, it just it wasn't good. I was really hoping they would pull something out crazy. Maybe they just needed some time to catch on. But that wasn't the case, so it was disappointing to not see him go further in the men's draw. But one of the things that I thought was interesting watching it is that they played Jack on the left the whole time and Tyson on the right, and I don't think I ever saw them deviate from it, and I'm really surprised with how bad they were getting beat that they didn't try and switch it up once just to see if it would work better. So I don't know. Maybe they should have done that, but I don't know. I'm sure they had a reason, but from my outsider 3-5 at best perspective, maybe switching would have been a good idea.
This is definitely on the stream. I might go back and watch this just to...
You should go back and
see
watch
how
it.
bad it was. Because 11-5, 11-2. Sheesh. Okay.
Also, it's crazy watching Jack run around a backhand dink to hit a forehand dink. It's like he's winding up for a Batman, but then he just hits it cross court and then runs back into the court. I'm like, dude. Again, I think if you're going to play at a high level, that will not be sustainable. You just cannot expose that much of the court to hit a forehand dink.
Right, and then you put Tyson on the right side, and his backhand is weak. Weaker. For him to attack on the backhand, I guess it's not wise. But you know what? Obviously they're playing on the pro tour, and we're not. So I don't know.
That's right.
Can't say much.
Yes. So mixed.
But we would have done better.
Won't go over any individual games, but definitely went way better. They made it to the final. I'm trying to think. That was on Friday. I watched some of the games, but I just don't have any big memories. I think the most notable one to me was him playing against James and Anna. And dude, Jack body bagged James so many times. I was like, literally, James was a breathing punching bag. It was crazy how many times he got hit by the ball. It's like, poor James. Like, get out of the way.
He must have, I don't know what happened, but he was not on point this tournament. I think something's getting to him. Maybe he ate something or didn't get enough sleep. I don't know what it was, but nah. Getting wrecked in singles and then I guess getting bagged that many times, mixed, not a good look. The main match that I remember was them playing against Rafa and Milan Rain. That was a good match. That was a good point.
Did you had to have seen the highlight that was everywhere on the internet?
Of course, yes. I saw the
tweener lob.
The tweener lob into the finish. Oh yeah, sick,
dude. Go on Instagram. Go on the Dink Instagram. Find this clip of Jack Sock hitting a tweener lob and then just absolutely annihilating that ball and finishing the point.
He kind of like got away with it because he was getting real close, right? And he wasn't sure what he was going to do. And then...
Well, he went for a poach and then realized, oh, wait, I can't take this out of the air. So he just hit a tweener.
Yeah, so he had to like go behind and then hit the tweener and it lobbed it. And it was just like the perfect lob right above Milan Rain's head. And then she tracked it down. It hit like the line. And then I thought she hit a decent reset back, all things considered. But wasn't good enough. And yeah, Jack just... put it away. I think like flew like to the audience, and it's like, ooh.
Yeah, that went straight into the audience. That ball was gone.
But there was another point in that match too when I think Rafa hit two tweeners back, like two tweener resets against Jack, I think. Right?
He did have some nasty behind the back, between the legs. He was fun to watch that match.
No, that was a good match. All right.
Yeah, it was good pickleball. So the only other thing after that was just, they obviously made the final. They ended up playing Riley Newman and Elise. I actually didn't get to watch this because I was out doing some paddle testing in the evening. I was bummed that I couldn't watch it. I was hoping that I could watch the replay when I came back from pickleball, but I couldn't find a replay of it on YouTube TV or ESPN, so I didn't get to watch it. But you got to watch some of it, right?
Yeah, I got to watch some of it. And let's see. The first game, Riley Newman and Elise Jones took it 11-3, and I was like, oh, man, they're in trouble if they just keep doing what they're doing and they keep on, I guess, attacking Jack. But in game 2 and 3, they came back with a vengeance. They came back and beat them like 11-2, 11-3. So yeah, the score was like 3-11, 11-2, 11-3. And the difference maker was that Jack Sock figured it out, and he was just speeding up to Elise Jones' right shoulder, and she was getting eaten alive, like from that switch up. Before that, in the game like prior, not even the games prior, but Elise was just getting everything back. Like they were just slamming it, and Elise and Riley Newman, like, oh my gosh, their ability to get balls back is just absurd. Actually everybody in that level in that part of the game like can get all these balls back, but I'm just looking at this and like Jack Sock is hitting overheads that I'm just like, oh my gosh, it's crushed, it's gone. Like it was like a tennis ball, it's like up into the bleachers or whatnot, and Elise Jones is getting it back. But like I said, Jack Sock figured it out. He would just speed it up at Elise's right shoulder, and she would get chicken wings. She would pop it up, and then, of course, it didn't matter who. Anley Waters would take it, or Jack Sock would take it, and it was gone. There were so many poaching opportunities. Jack Sock and Anley Waters were like poaching machines. Like, I was like, what the heck is going on? They were just, I don't know, they're so fast. Their movements and, like, their play style really complemented each other. And, yeah, I don't know. Elise Jones and Riley just couldn't figure it out, I guess, or adjust properly. And also, I think I heard one of the commentators say that, Jack Sock and Riley were like training together or practicing together. And Jack Sock was going after Riley, like some hand battle exchanges. Like he wanted it, and he would come out on top on some of them.
That's awesome.
Like, yeah,
he's not afraid. He came here to ball.
So, it was great to see. So I really enjoyed watching that. So, and this just goes to show you, Anley Waters, best player in the world.
For sure. I think it was super cool that he got he got a gold at his first tournament. Obviously,
yeah, great for pickleball.
Well,
I think
is it great for pickleball?
Yeah, heck yeah, it's great for pickleball. That he made headlines. He got us on ESPN. Like if Jack Sock wasn't in the finals, do you think like it would have been shown on ESPN? I don't think so.
The PPA did land an ESPN deal where 8 tournaments of the year are going to be on ESPN. Okay. So it's very likely that it would have been, but Jack being on ESPN for it certainly doesn't hurt. In terms of publicity,
yeah,
amazing. You just know that people are going to be like, oh my gosh, this tennis player came in and he just smoked all these pickleball people. They're so not good at the sport. But you can just refer to men's doubles and singles if you want to talk about people coming in. And again, you have to remember, it's not like Jack Sock just showed up and he's never played pickleball. Yeah. He has been playing for the last couple years. Yeah, maybe not. Exactly. He's not training like these other guys.
Right.
But he's been playing. He knows how to play the game.
Right.
He's not smoking everyone.
Yeah, so for all you tennis purists out there that love to hate on us and love to hate on pickleball, like, yeah, when the top level tennis player like comes in, yeah, don't expect to be an easy ride. Jack Sock, as well as he did, also got humbled.
Got rocked.
Straight up. Got rocked. The sock got rocked. No hate to Jack. No hate to Jack. No,
definitely not.
There. But yeah.
He seemed to be having a really good time on the court too. Did you see the clip where he Andiamo'd back at Julian?
No.
He yelled Andiamo at Julian and it made me laugh so hard.
Oh gosh, that's hilarious.
Yeah, I like that he did that. I think that's.
I wonder how Julian
funny.
felt about that. I'm sure other people out there love that because I know there's a lot of people out there. You either love Julian or you hate him. I feel like.
Yeah.
And so
to be clear, we're on the side of we like Julian.
Yes, we like Julian.
We don't dislike Julian. He seems like a chill dude. But yeah, I don't know. Fun tournament. I hope to see him at more. I'd love to see some more results, specifically on the men's side. I'd also like to see if he can go further in singles. I wouldn't be surprised if it gets pretty hard for him to get to a semifinal, or at the very least get past a semifinal. I think men's, if he doesn't have a really top tier person, it's going to be hard for him to do it. Mm-hmm. But yeah, I don't know. Either way, it's just I joked when he went out on men's. I texted my brother and said, "Yep, PPA viewership just got halved for the day with Sock going out first round."
I do wonder how much viewership like Jack Sock brought, because you already know this coming week you're going to see a bunch of articles and like media outlets covering, his performance. I'm curious to see the tone and the spin they put on the story of how Jack Sock performed. But yes, I am curious also to see the viewership and if Jack Sock brought a substantial amount of viewership to that PPA event. What do you think?
Yeah. No, I mean, I'm excited to see. I think it did bring a lot of people. I mean, if you just read the chat, you could tell anytime Jack wasn't up or they were worried his match might not be streamed, everyone was like, why on earth would you not stream his match? And as far as I know, they did show all of his matches, but the chat wanted to see Sock. They sure wanted to see Sock play some pickleball.
All the Sock memes. Oh my gosh. And Sock.
Oh gosh,
puns.
too many.
Oh
gosh.
Wait, so when they streamed it on ESPN, I think, was the original broadcast supposed to be at 5
p.m. CST, yeah.
Okay, because it was pushed back by like 45 minutes because ESPN2 had to make way for the extended finals of like the championship for cornhole.
I heard about that, and I think it's super. I wonder what the general public would rather see. Would they rather watch a cornhole final or a pickleball final?
Well, obviously we can't speak to that because we're biased, but I just thought it was funny.
No, yeah, we definitely can't speak to it, but I'd love to know which, if you made people vote, which would they pick?
Okay, because I turned on the broadcast, and I was like, oh, cornhole, and I thought it was gonna be done, but it wasn't. But it's funny because I was like, because I got a text from the PPA saying that the broadcast will now be like pushed back or aired at like later 5:45. Yeah, later, but. I stuck and watched cornhole. I'm not gonna lie. I was like, oh, okay. Like, I was honestly, it was actually kind of fascinating. Like, just seeing these people hitting the bags like straight into the holes. Like, oh snap! And then, playing defense or whatnot. It's kind of like watching to me, it was kind of like watching billiards, like professional billiards and pool. Sure. If that's something, I don't know if that's something that you do, but I think you play. It's like one of those games that you play enough that you can kind of appreciate, so I can kind of appreciate cornhole because I'll play it, and I mean I think it's a simple game, but also like I suck at it, and also billiards too, so I can appreciate when I see some just high level play. But yeah,
can you imagine the cornhole studio? Dude, I'm already thinking about how I could review the bags. The weight is probably critical. The friction between the material of the bag and the surface is probably very important.
It's so important because in the bag, the commentators said that on one side of the bag it's rougher and on the other side it's smoother, so you can decide which.
See, look, I'm not even in the sport, and I already, dude, I could become the #1 cornhole bag reviewer.
I don't know.
Boards and the bags.
You haven't checked on YouTube yet to see if there's anybody else out there doing that. There could be a doppelganger of you out there on YouTube already doing this right now.
There could be, and they better be worried that if I ever leave pickleball, I'm coming for the job.
Okay.
I'm going to go look it up after this and see if there are people reviewing it, because I'm mostly saying this as a joke, but there probably are people that review. Or maybe theirs is a little more dialed and you have to use certified. Like maybe it's just one type of bag and that's all you can use. But I don't know. I'm super curious now. I want to look that up.
Yeah, well, you let us know. The cornhole studio.
So funny.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh, I love it. Well, Will, is there anything else you wanted to go over before we wrap this up?
No, not really. I mean, I guess there was a little bit of talks of if he's going to play some more pickleball. Like, would you like to see Jack Sock play a little more pickleball or a little bit more full schedule for 2024? Do you care? Do you not care? I don't know. What are your thoughts on that?
No, I'd definitely like to see him play more for sure. I mean, if he went full-time pickleball, I'd love it. But he even said in an interview, because the commentators were pressing him like, oh, I heard you're going to play more. And he was like, well, okay, everyone, let's calm down. He's like, I still have a lot more I want to do in tennis. I'm still playing tennis full-time. I'm going to dabble in pickleball, but, it's probably not going to be a full-time schedule anytime soon. So who knows how many tournaments it's going to be, but would not be surprised if each tournament he enjoys it more and more. And he also said he hates losing, and getting your butt kicked in those in men's and singles might motivate him just a little bit more. We'll see.
Yeah, we'll see. All right. Well, that's pretty much all that we have. There's nothing else I want to go over. Was there anything else you wanted to go over?
No, I'm pretty much good. Thanks to everyone for tuning in this week. Hopefully there's more news to cover. To be honest, the pickleball news cycle has not been great lately. Thomas on PicklePod actually made a really great point that I loved. And, with all of the Paddlegate drama that's obviously been dominating the headlines, there's been a lot to keep up with. So that's what everyone has been talking about. Mm-hmm. And I think with the lack of storylines, which it's getting better. I've seen the PPA, they're writing more articles. They're trying to bring some more stories, which I really appreciate. I think that's great. I'd love to just see more of it. Give us stuff to talk about. Like, what are some of the big rivalries, like highlights afterwards? Like, just give the news outlets more things to talk about. And Pickleball talked about that a little bit. And I couldn't agree more. We just need more things to talk about, because as of lately, it's all been the same thing the last few weeks.
Right, exactly. And especially with, these deals that the PPA and maybe MLP are striking up with these networks or whatnot, it's becoming more gated, and it's more difficult for, people like us and like third parties and other writers or, just media outlets in general to kind of get the information, right? And I mean, just recently the after court like press releases. Have you seen that on YouTube? Like, PPA has been posting out the after game, the post match interviews, essentially.
I did. I think that's a pretty cool concept, though. I did chuckle because you already know that this is the most like stage scripted thing. They've just got one like probably intern asking questions, and they're just like, go in this room and we're going to record this so we can post this on social media. The concept of it is great. It just makes me chuckle when I think about what the reality of the thing probably
because
is.
You and I know what the reality of it is. They need to put us in there so we can ask them the real hard questions.
True, they should. I mean, I'm not going to lie, if they want to make this, and I think Thomas said this on PicklePod, you want to make this really good, let people like us, Thomas, all these other people who are more active in pro pickleball, and let them ask the pros questions at these things, and you will generate, I'm sure, a lot of things, because you already know that the PPA, for the most part, is probably going to ask some relatively safe questions.
Yes.
Yeah. Not entirely. I did see, I guess one other thing we'll talk about really quickly is at the end of the mixed match, some words were exchanged between Anna Lee and Elise Jones, and there's speculation on Facebook about what was said. I won't go into it because I was not there and I don't know, but it sounded like Elise thought Anna Lee called her some names, and Anna Lee was saying, no, I never said that. And the interviewer of that little press conference thing, they did say, hey, like, I heard there were some words exchanged. What was that all about? Anna Lee didn't say much, but they did ask that, and I probably would have thought they wouldn't. They would have just kind of swept that under the rug or whatever. But all of that to say, they should doesn't have to be us. Like, we can take us out of the equation, but give people who are passionate about this and have voices in pickleball that type of access to ask those questions, and you will generate a lot more storylines, I think.
Exactly, because we're the ones formulating the stories. The people who follow us because we're telling the stories. And, if we got the answers that we want or that we asked, then we can formulate a story around the information that we got from asking those questions. Yeah.
For sure. We are all trying to do our part to make this sport better.
Yes, indeed.
All right. Well, thanks everyone for listening, and we'll catch you in the next episode.
Peace.